Well, I think given the attitude of the Zionists occupying Arabia, uh, it's not surprising at all. And it's actually quite sad that at this point in history, the three main holy places for the Muslims are occupied by Zionists. That is to say, Jerusalem in Palestine, Mecca and Medina in Arabia. I refuse to call it Saudi because I refuse to acknowledge the illiterate family of criminals that have occupied that land for far too many years.
I believe that Saudi Arabia and Turkey are the two greatest dangers to world peace. It is Saudi Arabia, through the Wahhabist doctrine, that is spreading terrorism across the globe. It's not Iran, it's not Syria, it's not any other country. It emanates from Saudi Arabia.
But Iran is acting very prudently, as always, because it's not safe for Iranians or anyone really to be going to Saudi, given that last year when the stampede occurred and so many innocents were massacred in cold blood, it's come out, the proof has come out that this was because this little Prince Mohammed had decided to come into a very crowded area with an entourage of vehicles without a care for the logistics or the safety of the people there. We also know that the Saudi regime treats Hajj with contempt, treats Muslims with contempt. It's bombing Muslims in Syria, in Yemen. It's paying for Muslims to be murdered in Palestine. It's making very close diplomatic relations, including paying for the elections of someone who has absolutely no concern for Muslims. Leave Muslims on one side for humans, which is, of course, Netanyahu, that the Panama Papers revealed that Salman, this demented imbecile who claims to run the occupation regime in Arabia, had funded the election campaign for. So it's not surprising, you know, the land, the Islamic holy places are fully occupied at this point, and Muslims need to be aware. As we know, the Saudi regime has currently issued this huge $3 trillion rejuvenation economic package to remove its dependency allegedly from an oil-based economy. If you go through that, one of the areas they want to talk about is tourism. And this is the way they are. They will not treat the Hujjaj with respect, yet the cost for going to Hajj is in many cases prohibitive. Hajj is, of course, as we know, Islamically, it's something that's an obligation for any Muslim at least once in their life if they're able to. And with the Saudis running that country, occupying that land, it becomes extremely difficult because you have a huge amount of money that you need to pay to them. Leave aside the actual transport and the accommodation. Just the actual fees for going to Hajj, you have to pay a draft. For them, it's ridiculous. It's insane.
You may like Saudi Arabia, you may not like Saudi Arabia. The fact of the matter is that they are the custodian of the two holy places, and the matter stops here.
And when people go there, they're not safe because these little princes come out in their big fancy cars with their huge entourages, just literally driving straight into them without a care for the weak and the infirm and the elderly and, the innocent who have come from all around the world, not because the Saudi regime is over there, but because, as Muslims believe, the house of Allah and the burial place of Prophet Muhammad and so many other special places related to Islam and related to humanity as a whole.
The Quran calls for Hajj at least once in a lifetime. So if people miss on this time, they may do it next year.
So it's not surprising. And I think personally, my opinion is that people should boycott going to the Zionist entity. They should avoid going to Mecca and Medina. Of course, if it's obligatory, that's a different thing. They need to confer with the religious authorities, of course. But realistically, Muslims should begin to boycott the Zionists occupying Arabia in the same way that we should be, and inshallah are, boycotting the Zionists occupying Palestine, because this is what they understand. They understand the language of boycott, and they realize what a big problem it is.
Last 2 weeks, this gentleman from the Masjid al-Haram, he delivered a speech, and he said, you know, the cassettes exist, the CDs exist. I gave it to the Minister of Hajj. He claimed that to kill the Iranian Shia and Shia from Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, it has a great worth and I can say positive points through Allah, and they will go to heaven directly.
So he was encouraging the rest of the Muslims to kill the Shias?
Exactly. He was
The
encouraging
Imam of Masjid al-Haram, the holiest site of Muslims in Mecca.
Holiest sites of all around the world for the Muslim people. He encouraged Saudi Arabian people.
Why?
So that's what I'm saying. This is their belief. You know, this is those extremists who are in Saudi Arabia. This is the type of their belief. And when I mentioned it to the minister, he said that Mr. Wahidi is only one gentleman. I said, he's not one gentleman. He is a man that he's talking these points, he's mentioning these points, while 50,000, 60,000 people in that corner, they were around him, and these people are going to be encouraged to create problem for the Iranian pilgrims.